100 Proofs the Earth is Not a Globe by William Carpenter. Proof number 7. If we take a trip down the Chesapeake Bay in the daytime, we may see for ourselves the utter fallacy of the idea that when a vessel appears hull down, as it is called, it is because the hull is behind the water. For vessels have been seen and may often be seen again, presenting the appearance spoken of. And away, far away,
Far away. All right, I get it.
beyond those vessels, and at the same moment, the level shoreline with its accompanying complement of tall trees towering up in perspective over the heads of the hull-down ships. Then, since the idea will not stand its ground when the facts rise up against it, and it is a piece of the popular theory, the theory is a contemptible piece of business, and we may easily wring from it a proof that the Earth is not a globe. Reading from the Tri panel, regardless of the position of the channel marker 17, the triangle represents the same distance from the marker to the shoreline in Earlville, 9 miles away. In the middle pane, that shoreline is directly in front of you. Everything, all the way down to the water lapping on the shore. You can't see it because of the limitation of your eye and the conditions of the medium. The left panel, that triangle, that's the shoreline where that triangle meets at the zenith, at the apex, right? The shoreline's right there in front of you. Now, you can't see it this time, not because of the limitation of your eye, but because of the inferior mirage. These are the conditions for an inferior mirage and a looming up of the water, where the inferior mirage creates the horizon on the water. In the middle pane, these are the conditions for an as yet to be named refraction phenomenon, which recedes. That's the only recedes. It drops the distant shoreline back into the distance. It recedes, but at the same time, it raises that observation higher than the contrasting panes to the left and to the right. Okay, so it does at least 3 things. It drops the distant shoreline into the background. At the same time, it looms up the entire image because the water line is higher than the other 2 contrasting images. And there is a compression and also a dynamic activity in the air that if this were a video, you would see sweeping across the landscape what appears to be a heat haze, okay? But in all of these, we have a shore-to-shore observation. Look at the clarity, even though there's an inferior mirage in the right image. Look how clear those houses are, 9 miles away. The inferior mirage is not a vertical image. It covers distance, okay? This next tri-panel presentation has 2 inferior mirages to the left and the right. In the middle is looming again, where the distant shoreline is dropped into the background. There's compression and there's high activity in the air. But you can, I would suggest, clearly see if you look to the middle pane, you can see along the shoreline light stretches of whatever's there. There could be docks there could be beaches there, but the conditions of the medium and the limitations of our eye are limiting what we're able to see. However, again, my suggestion is that this is a direct line of sight to Earlville, 9 miles away. And the looming conditions that this presents gives us a deeper distance with the water, a compression of the objects that are at the shoreline, as well as the high activity of the index that is in the air. So there is no way to do a one-to-one correspondence. You are not going to get the same effects one day from the next if you have an inferior mirage. So in this example, then the left pane has an inferior mirage that is very, very, very acute. That is right above the waterline is an inferior mirage that is so thin and slight, it is almost too acute to notice. And you clearly have the ground beneath those houses. Okay, so then if we go over to the left, to the right panel, you have those same houses there, but they are completely in an inferior mirage. They are indistinguishable from the other image that you just saw. But those houses are directly right there in front of you. So instead of just what's above the waterline in the left image having an acute angle of an inferior mirage, this inferior mirage is much more obtuse. So the dynamic here is drastically different. So if you think about the water lines on the left and the right, they are not going to match up. Now, I matched up these images with the water line. I tried to line up the water line, just to give you a horizontal there. But you can clearly see in the left panel that the distance of that beautiful blue water and the distance of the water in the middle, and then the distance of the water on the right. The distance of the water on the right is much shorter, but that is the result of the condition of the medium. That condition in the right image is what I call proximate looming. It is ramping up the proximate appearance of the water. The inferior mirage that's in the distance is creating the limit to the water that we see. Okay, so you have two effects. You have an inferior mirage and you have the proximate looming. And then if you look to the just off-center left, you have a vertical image. That is a sailboat. That boat is directly in front of you. It is not hull down behind the water. It's directly in front of you. And I hope to address these issues with the Redracer video and footage that I've captured myself in this area on the Chesapeake Bay. Now, you're going to have to take what I say here in general and then apply it to these observations specifically. I've done this so many times. You guys, anyway, okay. Well, please feel free to make comments if they're going to be constructive and, whatever. I don't even know what to say. This stuff is just so clear, and the fact that I have to explain this to people who are severely obtuse, I don't know what to say. Anyway, I hope you enjoy this. I'm going to try to make this as short as possible, but already I'm waxing eloquent.